Alright guys, so now that we've done creating our clouds and different versions of it, the next thing that we want to do is code it. In order to code it, we're going to break it up into three sections. The first section is going to be creating the actual clones. The next section is going to be what layer we want it in. And the last section is going to be what we actually want our clouds to do when it's in our scene playing our game. So what we're going to do first is we're going to click on our yellow events tab. And we're going to add when I receive green flag. After that, we're going to go into control and add a forever. We're going to go into our variables tab and add a set block, changing the variable to side, and then adding from the operator a pick random from 1 to 10. We're going to be using this one a lot because we want it to be random when different clouds appear and disappear and how they move. So you're going to see this quite a bit. So just to know, that is the reason why we're using this pick random. We're changing the 10 to a 2. And now for the actual block that's going to creating our clones, we're going to go into control and we're going to add a create clone of myself. Then still inside of control, we're going to add a wait 1 second. And we're going to be doing this same block, this pick random from 1 to 2. So you can either go into operators and add it in and change the number, or as a quick little shortcut, you can hover your mouse over the pick, right click and duplicate it, and then just add it in. So now we've created how we want our clouds to be cloned and also how many times between movements we want it done. So this is the amount of time it'll take between clouds appearing. The next thing we want to do is the actual layer that it's going to appear in. So to start that code, we're going to click on our control tab again, and we're going to scroll down to when I start as a clone. Still inside of our control tab, we're going to add a forever. And then inside of looks, we're going to add a go forward 1 layer. We're going to change the forward to backwards. And we're going to add a go to front layer and also change that to back. This is just to make sure that in between our platform that's going to be in the front and what's going to be in the back is going to be our backdrop. Right in between those two, our clouds will exist. And this way, it won't stop you from playing the game, because if it was in the front, it might become an interactable. And if it's too far in the back, it can easily get lost or obstruct your view as you're playing the game as well. So this is just the best place to put the clouds so that it doesn't cause you any issues while you're also playing your game. The last bit of code that we're going to add now is going to be what we actually want our clouds to do as they appear. And this one's going to be a little bit of a long one. So to start, we're going to go into our control, and we're going to add another when I start as a clone. This block is specifically going to be used anytime we create a clone and we want to tell it exactly what to do. So since we told it that we wanted to go in the back layer and this new block is going to be what we want it to actually do, that's why we're using 2 of them. We're going to go into looks and we're going to add a set size. Once we've added that, we're going to click into operators, pick random, and we're changing the 1 to a 50 and the 10 to an 80. This is to give us different sizes. Then we're going to go into looks and add a show. Then we're going to add, still inside of look, a go to back layer. And then we're going to go into the set color effect, and we're going to change this to ghost, and we're changing this to 20. Once we've done that, we're going to add a switch costume since we have multiple versions of our clouds, and then we're going to add another pick random, so inside of our operators, from 1 to 4, since we have 4 costumes all together. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a if then. We're going to click on control, and we're going to add an if then. Once we've done that, we're going to go into operators and use an equal sign. On the empty bubble, we're going to add the side bubble. And then the 50, we're changing to a 1. Now we're going to go into our motions, and we're going to add a go to X and Y. The X is going to be changed to 300. And the Y, we're going to add another pick random. So instead of going back into operators, I'm just going to right click the one that I already have here, add it to our Y. The 1 is going to be changed to 150, and the 4 is going to be changed to 100. Now we're going to go into control and add a repeat until. And we're going to go into operators and use the less than symbol. We're then going into motions and adding an X position bubble inside of the empty bubble. And the 50 we're changing to negative 250. Once we've done that, still inside of our motions tab, we're going to add a change X by inside of the wait until. Inside of the repeat until. And then we're going to change the 10 to a negative 1. And then once it's done, we're just going to add this delete clone. So we're going to go inside of the control tab, and we're going to scroll down, and we're going to add this delete clone underneath the repeat until. So if you can see, it already starts to move a little bit. We've already told one portion what we wanted to do. So now we're going to tell the other side what we wanted to do as well. So essentially what this code is saying is 1/2 of the clouds we want you to move in the Y position in order to move from left, in order to keep our X the same, but move the different positions of the actual clouds. Since we don't want it all coming in different directions, we want it all coming from the left-hand side, but changing the Y so that they all have a different starting point. And then this part is saying change X by negative 1. So this X is going to be changing, which is causing it to move. And then once it hits this point right here, which is the end of our scene, then it's going to delete the clone. And that's how it's moving the clouds. So since we want the same thing to happen to the second portion of the clouds, we're going to hover over the if. We're going to right click and duplicate it and add it to the bottom. We're changing the 1 to a 2 inside of the side equals to. So it's controlling now the second half of it. The 300, we're going to change it to negative 300. We're going to keep the 150 and 100 the same. For the repeat until, we're just going to go ahead and change what's inside here. So we're going to remove it. We're going to go into operators, and this time we're going to use the greater than symbol. Then we're going to go inside of motion, and we're going to add the X position bubble inside of the empty bubble. And the 50 is going to be changed to just 250. Okay. The change X by, we're going to change it to 1. And then everything else is going to stay the same. So now if we click on our green flag to start our game, you can start to see the clouds appear, and they're going to start moving as well. If you're starting to see that some of the sizes of the clouds you don't really like, you can always just go back into the costume and physically change it by just clicking on the select tool, clicking on your cloud, and then just making it a little bit smaller if you need to do that. But other than that, go ahead and start playing your game and just make sure that the clouds are exactly the way you like them to be.